Bitcoin has been a small echo chamber of miners, a lot of Bitcoin OG in the last 15 years. But definitely now with ordinals, with all the Bitcoin L2, Meta Protocol, BVM, CTO, all this new technology, we're seeing a lot of new builders coming to the space.
Frederick Munawa with Bitcoin.com. I've got Charlie Hu, who's the CEO and co-founder of Bitlayer. Charlie, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
And the first question that I ask everyone all the time is, how did you get into crypto?
Yeah, I brought my first Bitcoin in 2013 when I was in Amsterdam. That was a very interesting Amsterdam Bitcoin meetup. I got to know what is proof of work, what it was Bitcoin miners and all that. But a really hard getting into crypto as a career is Ethereum. In 2015, get to know the Ethereum Foundation, Ethereum devs in Berlin. My first major involvement in crypto as a project or company was Polkadot, actually. So I was very early involved with Polkadot as an investor, did a lot of DevRel for them in the Asia region back in 2018 to 2020. Last cycle, I was working with Polygon. I was the APAC lead, building the ecosystem for them. We started Bitlayer 2023, and I was actually first week in ordinals. So I complete orange pill myself, get to know all the exciting stuff in Bitcoin since 2023. Yeah.
Wow. So you've got a very diverse
quite a big
set
background.
of experiences there, because you've got Bitcoin, Ethereum,
Polkadot, Polygon. Yeah,
Polygon.
I've been around.
Yeah. So it looks like you're familiar with the general crypto ecosystem.
Yep.
So in terms of Bitcoin layer 2s, we've got a lot of companies that are jumping into it now. We just talked to, for example, Alpine Labs yesterday.
Yep.
They're using BitVM implementations as well.
Right.
And then you've got other flavors of Bitcoin layer 2s building on Bitcoin. Bob.
Yeah.
That's Alexei Zamyatin. You've got the old school side chains from Blockstream. You've got tokens like Stacks, right?
Yeah.
So what makes Bitlayer different from all of these other implementations that are trying to extend, I guess, the composability of Bitcoin?
Yeah, sure. So Bitlayer, we're one of the official BVM Alliance members as well. We start doing research and engineering work and contribution for BVM since 2023. We established the BVM Asia community. We did a lot of education, talk about what is BVM, the impact, the implication, also challenges since 2 years ago already. So last year, we also came to East Denver. We started our journey, speed up the whole community building, engaged with a lot of builders, investors, and we launched our V1 mainnet after East Denver. So far, we generated over 28 million transactions, over 200 projects, our ecosystem already. A lot of them are DeFi focused. On the tech approach, we focus on BVM on the bridge side. So we just launched our BVM bridge testnet last December. We're finishing up the auditing, now working with 5 different EVM chains or non-EVM chains on the BVM Bitcoin Trust Minimized Bridge integration. We announced that yesterday. The tech approach we took differently is we combine the ZK stock, which is very much more cost-friendly and stabilized, together with the BVM approach on the fraud-proof side. So for the people who don't know what is BVM, it's basically using the existing Bitcoin script without relying on BIP or software hard fork to do the challenge game or fraud proof to verify transactions on the layer 2, eventually settle on Bitcoin L1. So I think a lot of the team you mentioned, some of them, they're also work in progress together with us. There's multiple teams have been doing pretty good work. There are a lot of interesting use cases in their ecosystem as well. And I think for us, we're very well connected in the Bitcoin mining pools. It's also the Asia community. We're very well connected with a lot of the DeFi folks. And me and my co-founders background, we worked with multiple different ecosystems. So the playbook, the way we grow ecosystem, we combine a lot of the good things from Ethereum, from Polkadot and many other ecosystems together with Bitcoin, trying to be Bitcoin alignment, but also have this builder culture and the new fresh builders blood, right, into this community. Bitcoin has been a small echo chamber of miners, a lot of Bitcoin OG in the last 15 years. But definitely now with ordinals, with all the Bitcoin L2, Meta Protocol, BitVM, CTO, all this new technology, we're seeing a lot of new builders coming to the space. Yeah.
So do you think it's like a gold rush? Because what I'm seeing is almost like, not every day, but more and more companies are starting to get into the Bitcoin L2 race, right? Another one is Citria, is another popular one, and might be the most popular one actually. So what I guess my question is, when it comes to there's probably gonna be a winner, right, in this race. Somebody who's gonna come out on top, and maybe there'll be the top, second, third, or something like that. Why do you think your company, I guess, would be, what differentiates it from these other?
So on the DeFi Llama, we were the largest on the TVL last year. Now we are the second largest. Core is the largest in terms of TVL.
Okay.
That's the one metric to look at it. We have over 3 million social media followers across different channels. Quite a lot of projects were working with us. And I think the Bitcoin Meta Protocol, L2, sidechain space can fit in multiple ecosystems with different approaches, different verticalization. We are in the Ethereum East Denver conference. There are over 50 Ethereum L2s in this ecosystem with different focus as well. So I don't think it's going to be just one winner takes all in the Bitcoin space. Bitcoin has bigger market cap with a very big potential, unlocks a lot of Bitcoin DeFi use cases. It's not just about popularity and a seasonal popularity. We were kind of winning last year already as well. So it's about the long-term, vision, also deliver the infrastructure, deliver the value to the builders, to the users. So we learned a lot by, working closely with our users, with our user center. We have done full season of ecosystem campaign. We did a pretty good campaign with Binance Wallet. We just finished that last week, which we brought 1.2 million users from Binance Wallet to the Bitcoin ecosystem in Bitlayer. Last year, we did one with OKX Wallet, which was one of the first Bitcoin projects ever working with the Cryptopedia. So we educate a lot of people what is Bitcoin DeFi, all the use cases across Bitcoin lending, restaking, stable coins, all that. So a lot of new users who are not necessarily like Bitcoin Maxi or OGs who had a little taste and experience about Bitcoin use cases. So I've been doing that. We've been doing that pretty effectively. I think in the long run, it's like having the mindshare of developers, right? Working with smart developers doing amazing stuff and make sure we can support them, make them successful, along with bring the user on board, educate them on the user flow, improve the user experiences, deliver the good performance and value to them.
So you talk about use cases. What are some of those use cases? I know, there's the borrowing and lending, but what are some use cases that you're excited about that people are actually building on your platform?
Well, we, from the developer first, right? So we mentioned that lending, stable coins, DEXs. I think kind of every single chain kind of have that as a basic primitive on the DeFi space. We also have that multiple solid team in this kind of sector. Then there's some interesting new derivative kind of DeFi protocols, such as perpetual DEXs, on-chain option trading protocol. The perpetual DEX, like the Rodex, they had over 30 million transactions already on our chain. Jasper Vault, which is on-chain option protocol, people can allow to do put on the call options to do the price prediction of Bitcoin natively on-chain without KYC and all that. There's some interesting use cases, with Bitcoin alignment, trading with Bitcoin gas fee, with Bitcoin assets. So I think those use cases are very unique, which is not just copy paste from Ethereum and do a fork on Bitcoin sidechain L2 like us, in us. So I think those are the very interesting use cases, which is specifically designed for Bitcoin assets in the Bitcoin ecosystem. And I think RWA is a very good example. We're looking for different type of yield, right? Which is not just some kind of points or token airdrop kind of yield, but I'm like yield from the real world, which is more stable. So there's some interesting RWA protocols already deploying us as well. We're looking at AI, right, which are very interesting solutions. A lot of AI agent projects wants to explore how to use the AI agent to optimize their Bitcoin staking or asset management strategy, which they can automate for the users. So there's some interesting use cases on that with some interesting transaction like Degen AI and some others. We have good relationship with them. They've been growing very fast. I think the best way to look at our use case on Bitlayer ecosystem, just check our website on the ecosystem leaderboard. We sorted out all the top TVL, top transaction, and top popularity projects. So like all the metrics, all the data is basically there. So it's an easier way to have an overall landscape about what kind of things happening in our ecosystem, which is pretty active.
What are some of the challenges that you've seen in terms of getting that developer mind share, or even just building your platform?
So mind share of developer, mind share of users are two sectors we're being very focusing on. Developer side, we did quite a lot of like online hackathons with some accelerator and hackathon organizer. We did a pretty good one with Dora Hacks. And we did some good ones, accelerator with the Red Beer and All Live Ventures. They bring very interesting, good founders on the use case side. So we jam ideas with them. We sometimes even help them with some tokenomics design, figure out some kind of go-to-market strategy. Some of them have sorted the use case and product and launched on us. Now we actually support them with the TVL, like liquidity. So that's that. On the user side, as I said, one of the most effective campaign and a way to grow user acquisition education is working with Web3 wallet. So the users have been pretty natively on using wallet, right? Not just central exchanges and trading, but actually using Web3 wallets to do all kinds of DeFi use cases.
Right.
So bring those non-Bitcoin but DeFi use cases users to the Bitcoin DeFi space like us is the most effective way so far. So these 4 campaigns we have done has been pretty effective getting a lot of users on that. And we learn a lot of feedback. I think with that, we're improving a lot of our experiences together with our ecosystem projects. I think there's many other playbook we can try. Another angle is the institutional side. So Bitlayer, we're one of the first Bitcoin project backed by ETF issuer Franklin Templeton last year. We've been talking to a few other institutions to design some interesting Bitcoin yield-bearing financial products and Bitcoin ETF, ETP products and so on.
Right.
Obviously, those are still work in progress, but I think this cycle, a lot of institutions have a real demand to put their Bitcoin into work as well for getting yield, do some asset management strategy. So we're exploring that that angle with a lot of institutions actively in the last couple of months.
Yeah, I think institutional interest is always a good thing.
Yeah.
That's where the big money is. So I think that's a good way to look at it. I believe you mentioned that your platform is EVM compatible.
Yes.
So people can port their EVM projects to your platform. And we talked a little bit about this before we started recording, and we talked about how ETH Denver this year is not as vibrant as it has been. You've been to 3 already, right?
Yes, this is my third time in ETH Denver. Yeah.
And this is it feels a little subdued maybe this year. What are your thoughts on the viability of Ethereum as a platform going forward? Now that, for example, Solana is on the rise, Bitcoin is chugging along, and now you've got L2s such as yours, where instead of building on Ethereum because Bitcoin didn't have the infrastructure before, now people can start building on Bitcoin. Now people can start building on Solana. And Ethereum seems to be kind of struggling. What are your thoughts on the future of Ethereum?
Yeah, great question. A lot of thoughts. So, as I said, I worked in the Ethereum community before. I did quite a lot of ecosystem building. Still a lot of old friends in East Denver, right? This is my third time attending East Denver. Like, comments on this year, it's smaller crowd due to, I think, 2 reasons. Market has been struggling a bit last 2 weeks. Today has been good, right? It's good news coming out again. And obviously bring the vibe back. But I think, a lot of people and users kind of being a bit tired, with a lot of conferences as well. There are like 2 major, another conference in different cities. So definitely divide the community a bit. We are building things on Bitcoin, right? Like we attended and sponsored all the Bitcoin conference last year. We were in Bitcoin Nashville, Bitcoin Asia, Bitcoin Amsterdam. We attend a lot of Bitcoin technical events, which is different crowd. Ethereum crowd has been always interesting. There's a lot of good friends, good builders. We've been talking to a lot of them. We have good partnership with some Ethereum layer 2 with our BVM bridge, such as Base and Arbitron and the Stocknet. And I think this is an interesting community we want to engage. It's not like just perpetual competition in a way. I don't really see this like a die-hard tribalism, so to speak, right? You mentioned about Solana, that like Solana layer 2, like with SVM called Sonic, we also partner with them. There's some interesting use cases with the Solana kind of a DeFi use cases. We want to explore some yield sources as well. At the end of the day, Bitcoin sits on the biggest market cap and the biggest assets, right? With the highest level of security, with the programmability layer we are working on, and with other kind of players. I think we can unlock a lot of value with all these Bitcoin assets sitting on the cold wallet doing nothing in the last 10 to 15 years. There's a lot of Bitcoin OGs and miners we've been engaging. We're talking to and working with a lot of the top Bitcoin mining pools. They didn't realize there's like potential use cases with the Bitcoin DeFi, with all these like programmability solutions come out. So we are doing a lot of education to those folks and educate them what is BitVM. Potentially later down the road will be OpCat or CTL. So yeah, these are conversations which takes time, but I think we want to be the player, we want to be the builder to engage with that in the early stage. And over the years, we want to be the ones actually leading this, driving and leading this effort. Yeah.
And when you look at the landscape, because you're so familiar with all the different ecosystems, when you look at the landscape, what so besides your own project, I always ask people this, and of course, your own project is always the best project, right? But without considering your own project, when you look at the landscape, the crypto landscape in general, what projects or apps are you most excited about?
Great question.
That are not Bitlayer.
Well, obviously, every founder is kind of biased, but I gotta say we are still early stage. A lot of Bitcoin ecosystem projects, including Bitlayer, early stage. So we have to be humble. We have to learn. A lot of things we're still work in progress. We wouldn't say we are the best of the best project in the world, not yet, but we were aiming to be. We are keep building. So that's the statement, right? We don't want to just overclaim a lot of other stuff. In that note, there's a lot of good things happening in this space. I do see there's like some bottom signal with very concrete, solid builders talking about some interesting innovation, which is still early stage, but very few people were listening what they have to say. So it's some kind of bottom signal. I'm very interested just to explore things like financial derivative, natively on chain, on DeFi, right, with Bitcoin assets. So I mentioned about Bitcoin on-chain option protocol.
Right.
So those are very interesting stuff, right? Not every single liquid funds or asset managers wants to just go through all the rigorous KYC process, trading on the central exchanges. We all know there's crazy counterparty risks happened with BlockFi, FTX 2 years ago, right? So I believe DeFi is still one of the very big industry in the future. And obviously, we all know there's a lot of AI projects. Also, a lot of them showcased this week as well. So we're exploring some AI real use case, not just AI agent with all kinds of meme coin and assets, but actual AI use cases with asset management angle to work with Bitcoin DeFi. I think that's a lot of value can be unpacked, but it's still early stage. We haven't really seen very, very clear product market fit yet, but I think we will figure out together with some of the builders, we'll be engaging very soon.
What's the name of the options? The option,
obviously,
the Bitcoin derivatives project. Yeah.
So obviously, this is just one project we are working with, supporting them, called Jasper. There's a few others we're talking to as well. Jasper, they had quite good transactions with a lot of option traders on their platform, which is kind of unique.
I always like to explore some of these projects that people.
The simplest way is to check our leaderboards on the website. There's all these use cases.
Well, we'll do that for sure. And one thing I wanted to ask you before we end, I did ask you about Ethereum, and you talked about how it's not necessarily a tribalism thing or competition thing. But yesterday they did announce that they've elected two core executive directors.
I actually know one of them.
You do? Oh, perfect. Yeah. So they've elected two co-executive directors. They've got a new president. Aya moved into
chairman.
She moved into the president role, right?
Yeah, president. Yeah.
And now you've got two co-executive directors.
I met Aya before. Yeah.
And then you have Danny Ryan, who was expected to be the co-executive, director. Now he's launched his own project, Ethereal, something like that. Ether Reality.
Ether Reality, yes. Yes.
Ether Reality, whatever. Sorry, Danny. What are your thoughts on what's going on with these changes in the Ethereum Foundation? Is that a good signal, a bad signal? And what are your thoughts about what's happening there?
Well, it's just my personal opinion, right? Doesn't necessarily even represent Bitlayers as a company opinion. And obviously, it's Ethereum Foundation, right? I never worked in Ethereum Foundation. I worked in Polygon, and I know some friends working in Ethereum Foundation, and some of them left already. So it's just not an official opinion. But I think from my personal take, my two humble Satoshis, Ethereum Foundation needs to improve on a lot of management style. It's been a lot of vague, ambiguous kind of way to manage things.
Right.
This Infinity Garden is a very beautiful statement, came by Aya. I personally respect Aya a lot, but I think there's different style of leadership, different style of management way to do things, which can get things done in a more efficient way. Like these two new co-executive director, I personally know Thomas. He's the CEO of Ethermind, and we worked with Ethermind on some infrastructure integration on RPC side as well. Thomas is amazing builder, amazing engineer. He definitely brings this get things done, get over stuff on time, punctual, more articulated on engineering work, being very accurate, that kind of vibe, and also the work style. Whereas Wang, like the other co-director, when I heard he's a very good DevOps. He understands the developer, he knows how to engage with developer, understand how to educate developer, get them on board, and make sure they have the best service. Ethereum Foundation has been a bit too vague, respectfully, in the last 18 months. There's a lot of people who were struggling how Ethereum will, where and how Ethereum will lead to, right? So there was some confusion with like Ethereum L2 should do this and that. Is there enough value recruit on Ethereum back to Ethereum L1, right? People has been complaining a bit on the fragmentation, liquidity, and so on. That was kind of the struggle, also frustration I had, right? Before I started Bitlayer 2 years ago, like I was pretty well connected in the Ethereum world. And I think hopefully, fingers crossed, with this new leadership team and bring some new style of working. Ethereum still is one of the major ecosystem with a lot of innovation happening. A lot of good builders are still there. And we will never say Ethereum is gonna die, right? Like I think this new way of leadership can bring some interesting fresh blood and ideas to the space. Fingers crossed. I don't know, and honestly, what's the result will look like.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Very interesting. We appreciate your comments. Charlie Hu, CEO and co-founder of Bitlayer. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.